Welcome to the Tuesday, April 29th edition of Speaker Co-working. I'm Ron Story. I'm the head of membership, the head of product at SpeakerHub. We're here with Angela Lewis, who's the head of operations. This is our daily call that we do with speakers from around the world. Well, they hop on to ask us questions about how to get booked more. At SpeakerHub, we work with 63,000. Let me give you the exact number. I got the numbers right in front of me. Was just doing some auditing before I got on here. I wanted to be sure we can give some real numbers today. It's like 63,600 and something. I'll give you the number in a minute. 63,659 speakers we work with around the world, helping them to get booked on more stages. So far this year, as of yesterday, we had booked 4,432 meetings with event planners in 2025. So we want to keep that number going. I think it'll be dope to hit 12,000 meetings booked in a year. I think over the 6 years prior, I did about 10,000 meetings on my own, but for us as a team to be able to have booked over 12,000 meetings in 2025, that would be bananas. So good to see everyone. We usually start off with introductions, so we'll let Elon Becker go ahead and introduce himself and tell us what beautiful beach he's sitting on back there, and coming to us
Not
from today.
quite on a beautiful beach, but definitely is. It's kind of nice background that soon is. Yeah, I'm Elon. I'm currently temporarily based in the Washington D.C. area, and I own a tax practice, as well as tax resolution practice. One of the things that I want to do with speaking is I want to be able to talk with college students in accounting programs across, a CSB accredited business school spout, the enrolled agent credential, as well as careers tax resolution, because I never was taught that 11 years ago when I was in college. It really has affected me very significantly. And so I wish that people in college who are pursuing accounting would stop believing this myth that you need a CPA to be a tax advisor or a tax resolution specialist when you don't. You just need an enrolled agent. I am an enrolled agent admitted to practice for the Internal Revenue Service.
No, it's incredible. That's incredible. And yeah, no, how'd you find out about SpeakerHub?
ChatGPT, actually.
Hey, look at that. We doing our job.
I was trying to figure out how to do speaking, but the challenge I've had is the cold email marketing. There's so many legal things that you have to do to make it compliant, and I am an absolute stickler for compliance. And I'm starting to do it like on a very small scale, but I just look at the software, and because I'm still like not profitable in my business and I'm still not generating consistent revenue, it's one where I just cannot afford to spend $250 a month just on cold email software alone. That's scary to me.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get it. I totally get it. So, you're in the right place. If you're trying to build a business using your voice, I think you're in the right place. I
Well, it's
understand you're a
one of the
business.
things I want to do. I mean, apart from the fact that yes, I want to solve people's tax problems and be a virtual CFO to businesses and being their, financial right hand man on like the so-called fractionals, which I think is a scam. But it's one where I want to be able to educate, college students on this because they're stressing people out like crazy for things they don't even stressed out about.
No, I get it. I get it. So yeah, but you're in the right place. If you're trying to, anyone who's watching, if you're trying to build a business using your voice, we can help you to do that. I'm very familiar with the tax business. I actually started a tax prep office
Wow.
back in 2004. I met John Hewitt, who started Jackson Hewitt and Liberty Tax back in 2004. And I was actually offered the entire state of Missouri, the license, the franchise for the entire state of Missouri. And I made a really stupid decision and said no to it because I thought I could do it on my own. Looking back at that 25 years ago or 21 years ago, probably cost me, I don't know, 5 million bucks today if I were to calculate how much I would have lost off of that.
Yeah, I've
But
lost probably at least $100,000 not being able to understand the CA, and I wouldn't even be in a position where like I've been rejected for jobs because of my credit. You know, even though like
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with me, like I just got into a very bad financial episode of my last e-commerce business, and so now I'm rebuilding and you know getting this new business started because I just obviously think that getting a job is kind of a joke. Honestly, with the way things are going, I don't think people are serious about hiring people. So
no,
that's
we
something.
We get it 100%. No, we agree with you. So let's go through our wins. Any wins? Lanice, good to see you. Any wins so far? Michelle, what's up?
So we got another two podcasts booked. We got one speaking engagement booked with an association, and then one booked at a university.
Yeah, how incredible is that? That's what
Awesome.
we're talking about. Look, show your work. Also, Michelle, I don't know if I got the email about being on you guys' podcast. I know that was something that was discussed between Ann and I. But I don't know if I got the email about it. But if not, can you send me a text message or WhatsApp or something with, or send it
Absolutely.
to Ange? I think I'm 3,600 emails back right now, so probably don't want to join that list. Um, yep. Lanice, what's up?
Yeah. So I always hear people and say, I'm listening, I'm listening. So last week when I was on, I was listening. And one of the things that you said was to reach out to 10 people a month, 10 organizations a month. Like, don't just sit back and wait for people to come and find you. So I started doing that. One of the recommendations you had, I was listening, was to reach out to small business development centers in the area. So I
Oh,
reached out to three in my area. I'm in Hampton Roads. And the very next day, I got a response back from one, and I have a meeting with them tomorrow to talk about doing some presenting for them.
look at that. Look at that. Look at that. This stuff works, man. This is the incredible thing. High five. I mean, there's a lot of people you can help, especially if you think about in Hampton, Portsmouth, Suffolk, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, um, Williamsburg. You can go all the way up to Enrique and Richmond, and
Richmond, yeah,
you got a long. I mean, you got a lot of space to play with all the different ones over there. The universities are great too. I mean, all those HBCUs, they would definitely bring you in, right?
absolutely.
So I would hit up Hampton, Norfolk State, Virginia Union, all of those, and just go at it. High five, Lenice, way to go.
Thank you.
Super dope. That's incredible. This is about the results, player. This is what this is about. Kevin, what's up?
Yes, I'll be leaving probably maybe a little early. Maybe I'll stay on up to 1 hour, full hour. But I have a group of electronic students, probably about 25 of them that I'll be speaking to. And as a side note, I got this from giving the guy a survey that's running the program. So
Look,
that
come
worked
on, man.
out.
Look. Let me tell y'all something easy. I'm gonna go through this. We're gonna talk about this today. Remind me to come back to this, Kevin, because I got something that we'll talk about for it like 30 minutes today because I think it's what's missing, right? Bonnie, I don't want to cloud the wins because we're gonna talk about this topic though. But Bonnie,
Yeah, man, don't be clouding those wins. Okay, here we go.
wait, let's take a minute before we let Bonnie talk about hers. No, I'm just playing.
You are a wise guy. So, I have two surveys today, this afternoon. I
Mhm.
just got a yes, we're really interested in having you speak to our elder population at the assisted living in a place that I travel to in Connecticut frequently. So now I can write that off when I go organize that with them. And guess who's on the top of the leaderboard this morning?
Oh, yeah, I know. We saw that yesterday. I was talking to
Smoking.
someone. I said, "Look at old Bonnie. Look at this." Now, let me tell you all, for those who don't know, this is a huge accomplishment. I don't, even if she's only up there for 5 minutes, it is a huge accomplishment because Bonnie had an account for 3 months and she was like, got to get every pitch just right. I got to put the right herbs and spices in it before I send it. And
Yeah,
now she is just pitching away because the, the
I
the
am.
habit and the comfort is there. So Bonnie, high
I am.
five, super duper high
Thank
five. I
you.
know I give you a tough time, but
I love it.
one of my favorite poems is "Come to the edge," he said. No, I'm afraid. Come to the edge, he said. No, I'm afraid. Come to the edge, he said. They came, he pushed them, they flew. That's what we do here. We're here to push you guys. I'm not here to and it'll be in the topic. I'm not going to cloud it, but this lines right up with what I'm talking about today. So Bonnie, high freaking five. You know, I'm not going to use
Thank you.
I'm not going to use John's word today. I used it enough yesterday. I used my allotment of John's keyword yesterday.
That was
Jasmine,
funny.
what's up?
Go, Bonnie, go. That's how we start. We lay the foundation and then we take off, right, Bonnie?
Thank you, Jasmine.
I remember
You know
Ron
it.
saying, yeah, Jasmine, I know you kind of knocked me there with Bonnie. Positive and reinforcement.
Oh, 100%. Dude, we're a family. Like all the personalities, but everybody's pushing their own weight. This is the best way to be. Like if you're
Yeah.
anywhere else, if you're watching this, you're a part of any other community, and you haven't been on here live with us for more than one day, come visit us. You know, if you're watching this on YouTube, come hang out with us live for one day. We promise you it'll change you because nobody else is getting the results we're getting. Right? Go ahead,
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jasmine.
excuse me. My win, I thought it's strange that the CEO of a company, and it's within my environment, reached out to me to help with a corporate it's like a corporate, you know, when you take your corporate out, you know, to like a luxury place and you give them programs and stuff like
Oh,
that.
like a retreat.
Yeah, a corporate retreat. So anyway, excuse me, I in my Inspector Gadget self, right? I try to look up, is this guy for real? Why is the CEO doing? And I went through corners. I did everything that I'm used to doing, being with Linux to see if and this guy is real. And so I sent out, I asked ChatGPT a question. He asked me to send a proposal, right? And I said to ChatGPT, I said, this individual, I really have to get to know what he's about. So I'm going to do it in two parts. So I did it, you know, I'm reaching out, I'm responding to your email, won't go through that, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this is the first part of our conversation. Feel free to, you know, to email me or give me a call to let me know exactly, find out some more about your company before I send you that final proposal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he gave a call right at 8 p.m. I mean, it's election night. I'm watching election right at 8 p.m. We talked a little blue about election and we got into it, and it's legit. And it was the CEO and his base from seeing me on a podcast. So when you do your podcast, guys, don't just let it sit there. Market the hell out of them.
That's it.
Okay?
No,
Market them because people are out there watching. It starts from here. We get the opportunity to do podcasts. And when you get it, use it like a $2 bill.
well, 100%. One of the analogies I like to use is that if Michael Jordan was playing basketball in the YMCA, is he any less of Michael Jordan? He's still Michael Jordan. He's just playing on a different court. A lot of times, you know, we're playing in a different arena, but we think that we're less than who we are because of the size of the stage or the arena that we're in. You're still who you are. You know, it's just that the event planner didn't have the budget to get you the audience that you deserve. You know, so I'm really big on reframing and taking back our power as speakers from being dictated by the size of the audience that we had no input on how they would get there, right? Like I didn't get to market my last speaking gig. If they did a crappy job and only 13 people were there, that's their fault. It had nothing to do with me. I'm still who I am. So why am I letting my ego be attached to somebody else's shitty marketing? Just because you couldn't fill up a room doesn't mean that I wasn't supposed to be in that room. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we think, oh, well, man, why are they calling me? Because you are who you are, Jasmine. That's why they're calling you.
I
What
know.
do you mean?
And you know, the funny thing
who would
is,
you prefer they call?
me. But the funny thing,
Okay,
I'm just
well,
saying, this is a
there you
large
go.
company. You know how in a large company you have different tiers, right? So I
Yeah.
said, this is a large organ, and I checked it out. I know the company, very well known. And
But wait.
wow.
You managed the world heavyweight champion for 15 years. Why are you playing small?
not
You-
playing Paul. I'm
It
just
was the
thinking.
baddest man on the planet. Like, there are 4 billion dudes and nobody can beat him up. There's this whole thing about 100 dudes fighting a gorilla. He would lose to the gorilla, but all those dudes would lose to him.
Try being a female, Ron. Try being a female on social media.
Yeah,
There's a lot
I
of
hear you.
crackpot that come at you.
But we got to remove these disclaimers, right? We got to remove these disclaimers because they really only exist in our minds, and we project it out in our own energy and how well we market ourselves. If you knew you had $1 billion service and you knew that everybody who listened to you talk got in better shape, they added an extra year to their lives, how much more would you tell everybody? I watched a video the other day with a guy on YouTube, and he said, look, my video has been watched 87,000 minutes. And he went in and he calculated 87,000 minutes by so many hours in a day. And he said, people been watching my video for 10 years and it's only been out a week. They've invested 10 years worth of life into this one video. And that was a aha for me because we don't look at it that way. Right? If you started counting the number of lives that you saved, the number of good decisions that you've changed into good decisions instead of them being bad decisions because they heard you open your mouth, whether it's Lanice, Bonnie, Willie, or whomever. Elon, start calculating how much you saving people on taxes worldwide. I promise you, our perspective about the impact we're having changes. It changes. So we gotta stop this playing small stuff. Janika, sorry for kind of, that was a hug, Jasmine. I wasn't screaming at you. That was a verbal hug because we do it to ourselves all the time. Does that make sense? You know, we do it to ourselves all the time. We are enough. And the bad thing is, this is the worst we ever gonna be. Every morning I get up and I say, today is the worst I'm ever gonna be. That is huge. That is a huge deal. Go ahead. It's all up from here, man. Janika.
To my support team, I come to you acknowledging everyone for your success. And I want to share that, Ron, I took the next step. I just got published in a leading holistic magazine with my article in April on the power of touch and relieving pain. So it was accepted, and the coordinator said the article is doing quite well. So this is a comeback. So this is another blast out of my past in terms of stepping forward, following the Ron Story plan of action.
No, she's following the Queen of Wakanda plan of action. Ain't this is Jadika. She got the hair wrap and everything. This is how we go forward. I'm serious. Like, dude, how we view the things that we have, we act as if we don't have the power to impact people, right? Look, your message doesn't lose its power just because people may not be listening, right? The words are still the words. Some great pieces of art don't become famous until 100 years after the artist has died, right? Now I see all these videos on YouTube, but high five, Janika, like super duper high five. I see all these videos on YouTube now talking about a basketball player named Dragan Petrovic. And Dragan Petrovic died in tragically early in his career. Played for the New Jersey Nets, was incredible. He was Steph Curry before Steph Curry, but nobody really recognized him. But now all the retired players are saying, who gave you fits other than Michael Jordan? They was like, dude, I really wasn't worried about Michael Jordan. I was worried about Dragan Petrovic. Jordan couldn't shoot, is what they would say. Jordan couldn't shoot. This dude had Michael Jordan's attitude and he could shoot. So sometimes we're not going to get our flowers while we're here or immediately when we first start introducing it to people. But eventually it comes around. So high five from that perspective. Bart, you back up pitching, man? We got you back rolling yet?
No, I'm taking a hiatus here. Think till Friday.
What?
I would like to comment on Bonnie's dance to Janika's news and Janika making a reference. I wouldn't call it a comeback. I'm like, how could you guys choreograph that? Bonnie's dancing to LL Cool J. I'm like, there we go.
Hey, look, if we get Bonnie, Janika, and Jasmine all in the same room, it's gonna be an amazing event. I promise you. Between the three of them, I mean, all the positive energy. If you come in that room and you negative, they're gonna talk it out of you. I know it. I believe it. So, but no, good to see everybody. Good to see you, Nicole, for joining. Yvette, Janissa, it's always good to see you here helping out, and you and Michelle. Curtis, good to see you again. Leroy, AJ, Lawrence. What a time to be alive, guys. Go ahead, Bart. You got to win. What's been going on with you, man?
I just got off a podcast, so nothing stopped. I've been I won't say backed up, but I've had continuous podcasts, even though I haven't been on here. A lot of them are happening at noon. This one just happened to end here at about noon or whatever. But I want to give a shout out to Angela for introducing me to a young man and recommending me for a podcast. So high five to Angela. If I can get Bonnie to do her thing, and then I wouldn't call it a comeback, but thank you, Angela.
No, it's a big deal. So here's what I want to talk about today, guys. I think it's really important because a lot of times we don't really realize the power of what we have, right? Kevin says, okay, well, I'm speaking to 25 kids, right? And it came from doing the work, right? Here's how you win. Do the work. There's so many people out here today that have not done the stuff that they're talking about. And we feel it right from the beginning. Like when they start talking, you can tell if it's theory or if they're just parroting something they read out of a book. But if you have the lived experience, talk about it, document it, put it out there, start telling those stories because it's the real stuff that draws people to you. There's a lot of chat GPT practice speeches. I was coached by this. We're in the days of the coach coaching the coach, coaching the coach, coaching the coach, coaching the coach. It's a freaking Ponzi scheme of coaches, 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 coaches. And it's like, wait a minute, who's actually doing the work? If everybody's coaching, who the hell is doing it?
Coaches and consultants. That's like the biggest one I see with all the Facebook ads. And I'm like, there's so much stuff with the Federal Trade Commission. They're shutting down these businesses. And I was just actually listening to this podcast called Don't Say That with Onyx Singal, where he literally lost over $15 million. His business is gone because these people understand that you can't do stupid things like, oh, I'm going to sell this thing for $97 when it's worth $2,000. Like the FTC is going to come after you they're going to basically try to seize all your assets. So that's why, it's so important to be honest.
Oh, 100%. Right. And here's the great thing. One thing that we talk about is, we're a show your work company. We're going to show you the stuff that we're doing. All of our meetings are self-reported. So we track them based on where you all move them. We may be higher than the 4,000, but those are the only ones that you all have moved over, right? So we track what you all do, and it's based on what you all self-report to us, right? So in the age of AI and artificial intelligence, we're also in the age of artificial results. Let me say that again. We're also in the age of artificial results. And I know at the beginning, it's going to be hard to try to stand out, right? It's hard to stand out when you're just starting off and you're just talking about the things that you've done. But over time, you will not understand how many emails I get or how many people I've met with, especially in the last 2 months. I did over 600 meetings from February up until last week, and with just speakers. And how many people said, man, you're the first person to actually sound like you've done this. And I'm like, wait, didn't you buy such and such's course? They're like, yeah, but he don't seem like he's been in it for like in years. Or I bought his course, but he didn't teach it. Somebody else was teaching it. Or the people that were coaching, they weren't really speakers, or they didn't know how to build a business. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is who I'm. So I don't have any competition in my mind. Like, if this is who's out there, oh, I ain't got no competition. Cause nope, look at Bart. They got Carlton over there, Barlton. It's so unusual to be loved by anyone. Go ahead, man. We got to play the music for Bart to do the dance. But we don't have a lot of competition, guys. So here's what we know. The stronger you talk about your results and open it up for people to question it, the better, the more you stand out. Why? Because everybody else will just talk about claims, right? So I'll give you the example of why we made a huge strategic change. And I think those surveys, and we'll go into it on why those surveys are so important, because we wanted to go in a different direction than everybody else, right? What other speaking company is saying, hey, you know, most speakers don't make that much money. They telling you become a six-figure speaker tomorrow. We're saying, hey, look, becoming a six-figure speaker is, 3 out of 100 ever get to six figures, ever. Why would we say this up front? Because we want to be the source of truth. Jadika, when it comes to touch and reflexology and the things that you do, pain relief, you want to be the sole source of truth. Bonnie, when it comes to anxiety, you want to be a source of truth. I don't care if they don't like it. The truth is the truth, though. Do you see what I mean? My mama told me a lot of stuff I didn't like when I was younger, but it was the truth. I needed to hear it to become the son she thought I should be. Right? So being a source of truth is huge. Now, you know what I thought? We put these up here. We put the stats up here. Hey, look, most of y'all got products and services. And we start telling the truth about it. Our registrations went up. Since we've had this up, we've had a streak of the highest registrations on the site. Because they're like, wait a minute, what do they know that these other people, this don't sound like what everybody else is telling us. Everybody else is telling us the average speaker gets paid $16,000 per gig. The average budget for a speaker is $22,000. Who they talk to? Who they survey? See, y'all know we do these surveys. So I got 3,000 of these, right? Right? But do you see how now when someone comes to your site, Bonnie, and you have the data on how you can help people and what people are dealing with, you become that thought leader and that source of truth. Do y'all see this? Apply for membership. This thing gonna keep buzzing down here in this left corner. Bushak. I mean, around the world, they're looking for a source of truth. This is the purpose of the surveys, right? I don't know. Let me stop there. Thoughts on that? Because this source of truth thing is what's needed in the world of AI. In the AI world, everything is conjecture. You know how much AI is wrong, where I have to go tell it, hey, dude, that ain't right. But people are taking it as a source of truth. Mm-hmm. Ask it a math problem. It will give you a way crazy answer. You're like, man, I didn't even say that. Or that's not even the equation we put in. Oh, yeah, Ron, you're right. Let me go back and fix it. What? How many people don't know that they should question what ChatGPT and these AI systems are saying?
You have to do a lot of follow-ups with the ChatGPT, because even like with my cold outreach, I mean, they were saying, oh yeah, you should do in the subject line, quick question. I'm like, no effing way am I going to put quick question in my subject lines. And so granted, it did give me, pretty good advice where like my first cold outreach email was a little too long, even though I was trying to be like pretty thorough what I wanted to do, but instead I even took it not from ChatGPT, but I took it from a representative at Folderly, which said, okay, keep your intro with 5 sentences, make sure that you do, spam word checks. And I'm, doing all this compliance stuff to make sure doesn't get into spam. And that's kind of the thing I fear with this is that when trying to get the speaking gigs, it's like you try to cold outreach people, and then you have to, if you don't have this here, then, the email go to spam and it doesn't even reach the recipient.
Yeah, but that's always going to be a risk, right? So, there's always there's different spam filters, or, I mean, even if it doesn't go to spam, if nobody opens it, who cares, right? So, I mean, there's always going to be risk. There's no perfect marketing message, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even when you people put up a billboard and folks drive right by it. That doesn't mean that the billboard was ineffective. It just means that the audience wasn't ready for that message. So, Elon, we can help you with that. I've sent millions of cold emails. I don't know anybody. I haven't met anyone that sent more cold email than me, or booked more meetings with event planners via cold email than me personally. If you want to introduce me to somebody, cool. I would love to meet
I
them.
can tell you this, which is, I don't want to name the person because I don't want to be accused of like libel or defamation, but I was speaking to somebody who's like, hey, you're guaranteed to, make $150,000 a year in speaking fees if you, sign up with me. And then if you don't, we'll keep working with you till you do. Well, I think that's probably against FTC regulations to say that. And I remember even talking with this person on the phone. It's like, oh yeah, maybe I'll be interested in it. She was like interrupting me a lot. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of those claims out there, right? And they don't, here's the one thing we know, guys, that we know about speaking and why we talk about meetings booked. We never talk about gigs, we talk about meetings booked. Why? Because you picked your topic, right? Janika, did I pick your topic? Did I pick your experience level? How much education you got on the topic? Did I pick the audience that you decide to send the email to? Do I control your calendar? I don't control your availability. Do I control your speaking fee? So those are 5 variables right off the bat that I have no control over, right? So how can I ever take credit for someone getting booked? What I can talk about is that we give them the right data, right? Did we give them the right tools and the right information to be able to go and to reach out to the publicly available information that's on the person's website, where they said, here's a call for speakers. Here's how you become a guest on my podcast, right? So that's what we take credit for. And we're very proud of that, because if you control that and you take responsibility for those 5 things, and you add the 6th one, which is effort, you actually do the work, it's kind of hard to lose, right? But what we have is people overpromising because they need to make the sale, right? Now, we have an ironclad guarantee, and our guarantee is very simple. It's not a monetary guarantee. It's if you don't get invited, we will give you a refund. Why? Because we didn't pick your availability. We didn't pick your fees. So how can we say we guarantee they're going to book you? Okay, my fee is $200,000 per speaking gig. You see how that just throws everything through the loop, Elon?
Yeah, and hopefully your lawyers have looked at all the guarantees, because now, like, I'm all about, I've looked at my website, I've looked at my website copy, and let me tell you, the only guarantee that I have on my website is a customer service guarantee. And I say this specifically because when I work with clients, even like working as like an outsourced CFO, I don't promise them I'm going to help you make money, because that's unethical. And so it's one where I tell them, look, these other CPAs, having dealt with them over the past 15 years, they do not answer client calls. They don't answer emails. It's impossible to get a hold of them. So I say, you know what? Okay, that's a legitimate problem in professional services. And I say that if you work with me, if I don't get back to you in 48 hours, your next month's free of charge. Granted, I'm obviously going to charge much more money for that, but I'm putting my whole business on the line and my reputation on the line to do it, because I'm just sick of bad customer service.
So I'll tell you, here's the reason why we do it. And I think that this is why everybody should do it. There's a certain reasonable expectation of performance and service of everything that you ever pay for. If you go and you order a pepperoni pizza and the person brings you out French onion soup, you have the right to ask for your money back, because you didn't get pepperoni pizza. They brought you French onion soup. They don't even resemble each other, right? One is sold in a bowl. The other one is sold by the slice. One you need a spoon to eat. The other one you can fold and eat with your hand. There's a reasonable expectation of performance. Everything has that. If you buy tires and you drive them off the lot at Walmart, Walmart will give you a new set of tires if the treads fall off those tires, right? So I think that everybody, in everybody's business, there should be a reasonable expectation of performance and service, right? I also believe that there's a bunch of people that are overselling things that they can't be accountable for, right? So I think you gave the right advice to everyone out there. Always have your legal team to review all of your claims and things on your website. That's sound advice, right? But also don't be an idiot. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I'm talking about from a customer perspective. If somebody knocked on your door right now and said, I guarantee you, if you give me $7,000, I'm going to give you back $150,000. Would you give me $7,000 if I knocked on your door and made the same offer?
No.
Okay, so why do we accept it on the internet? If we wouldn't accept the same deal when someone knocked on our door and offered it to us, why would we accept it on the internet? It ain't, a lot of times, we got to take some responsibility as customers that sometimes we make stupid decisions out of desperation. No, nobody wants to say that because everybody, the customer's always right. Bullshit. Customer ain't always right. Sometimes the customer's stupid. Sometimes the customer's gullible and looking for a lottery ticket. Right? I've ran away a lot of customers that have asked us to overpromise. Hey, well, can you guarantee me? Nope, we don't guarantee that. What I can guarantee you is that if you do the work, you will get responses. And if you don't, I will give you your money back. Will you get a gig? I don't know if you will accept it or not, but you'll get responses. Right? So I think that there's the in this age of business, number one, like I said before, you got to become a source of truth. Right? And that truth has to be reflected in your marketing and in your services. The second thing is show the results. Show your evidence of the work that you do. And then give people the assurance that there is a certain level of expected performance, because that's what, no matter what organization you're working with, they're going to say, hey, Elon ordered French onion soup. Why did you bring him a watermelon? Like, well, I warmed it up on the inside. No. He ordered French onion soup. He should have got something that resembled French onion soup. So there's an implied guarantee in every business, by the way. But yeah, no, I think we're on the right page, guys. I just wanted to reinforce that. And we got attorney Nicole Shelton in here that understands these things better than all of us. I don't play an attorney on the internet, but she is one in real life. So the moral of the story is, how do you become a source of truth in your business? Right? Let's open up the floor to talk about that. How are you all becoming sources of truth and not just, claims reps? I claim I can do this, but you ain't got none of the proof. Lawrence, what's up?
So one of the ways that I do that for me is I show people things such as books I've wrote, the evidence I have helping other people as well as myself. Because to put it all very simply, the thing that I help people to do is improve their mindset and their outlook on life.
Mhm.
The result I have is information about me when I was 12 years old. So notes my own therapist made on me compared to how I am now. And it showed the transition. So that's a bit more specific to people who speak in my demographic. But
Well, I'll give
that's my
I'll give you a way that you
evidence.
can do this, Lawrence, because I know your topic is a bit different, but I'll tell you how you can do it. Let's go to something we all understand. If I was hiring a physical trainer, what's the first source of truth I'm going to look at? First source of truth.
They're
Is that
fine.
person in shape?
You looking
Yeah.
at him, right?
Mhm.
You looking at him like, man, how you? Come on, son. Like, I look at you and I don't think you got it. Right? So that's the first source of truth, is the person who's talking. The second source of truth is second party, which is their customers. They should be able to show you customers. We open up this call every day with sources of truth. Hey, anybody got any wins? We don't do it once a week and have y'all try to bring them all so we get a whole day. Every day. If we only got one, we only got one. But we're going to do this every day. We're going to be a source of truth that we get people booked. So, first one is themselves. The second one is customers, right? Actual customers that have said that they've gotten results from that person. There's a third party source of truth, which is independent companies that have studied their results to verify them, like an auditor. So you'll see some companies like they'll say the lottery is audited by Ernst & Young to make sure that there's no scam going on, right? So you have these Better Homes and Gardens have their ratings and reviews. Better Business Bureau, that's a third party source of truth that's giving reviews on their audit of the person's product and service, right? So for us, a lot of us, our main source of truth will be the life that we live and the results we can show of our own work and our customers. Does that make sense? So here's the problem with most speakers. They have no freaking customers. Like, okay, am I lying? a lot of speakers have no customers because all they do is talk. They don't actually do the work that they're talking about. So they have no customers, and the testimonials won't come from people that use their stuff. It'll come from people that hired them to talk about their theories. So their testimonials come from the event planner that hired them, not from the customer that followed them. Let me give you an example of this. Source of truth. Let me see if it comes up. Amazon. Oh, my keyboard died. Are you kidding me? Hold on. I thought the battery of my keyboard, it died on me. All right, let me see if I can turn it back on. One moment. Come on. All right, I got to go over here. Right? So we come over here and we have different books on marketing, right? Different books on marketing. Now, start with why. Someone we talk about all the time, Simon Sinek. There's a source of truth, 38,000 reviews. You see that? Now, Amazon didn't write a review on this. This book wasn't sponsored by Amazon. Amazon wouldn't be a credible source of truth because they're trying to sell the book. But Amazon understands source of truth very well because you know what they put by it? Verified purchase. That's why we don't allow people to put their own reviews inside of SpeakerHub. We want you to have real people come write your review, not you. Does this make sense? Verified purchase. That's a source of truth. Really, 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 really important that we see this. Why? Because there are a lot of people who have marketing books. They got 6 reviews. Well, how you good at marketing? You can't market your own stuff. I don't want to hear what you guys say. Right? If you can't market and get people to market your stuff, there's one here called How to Market a Book. Right? Market a book. Let's go. Kindle. Let's go in here. How to, like, it's like, dude, you don't know how to market a book and you selling a book on marketing a book. Right? How to market a book. 1,000 reviews. Not bad, but it's free. You only got, yours is free and you can't get more than 1,000 reviews. Right? So moral of the story is Amazon can be a source of truth for you and your products. right? Because it's verified purchases. When we start allowing you to sell your products and services on SpeakerHub, it's going to be a source of truth. If your book sucks, they're going to say your book sucks, and we ain't taking off the review, right? So remember, source of truth is yourself. Are you actually living it? Second source of truth is your customers. The third party source of truth, like Amazon, can be a verified, hey, they verified that this person actually purchased it. It wasn't Jadika telling her cousins to go on there and write a review on their page. It wasn't Elon's uncles writing, Elon does great tax work. They ain't never used them to do their taxes, right?
Yeah, I've had
Does
to
this make sense?
give
Any
testimony.
questions so forth on why being a source of truth is so important?
Yeah, if anyone leaves a testimonial on my work, I check it very closely. 'Cause I've seen people where, like, I told them leave an honest testimonial of what is, I've done for them in terms of my knowledge and things like that. And then they wrote this testimonial. I'm like, this is fake. No way in the world is this going to be credible. And then they've even blocked me for it. But I'm like, I'm not willing to risk my integrity to just to get a few testimonials. In fact, I think most of the time testimonials are pretty overrated because it says nothing about the actual person's character when it comes to delivering the service. And so whatever testimonials I have, they're all on my LinkedIn. I mean, those are honest testimonials I've gotten from people where I've actually done things for them.
No, that's a customer testimonial when they've actually purchased your work. Any questions about where we're going with this, guys, and why this source of truth thing is the difference maker, right? When you look at folks like Alex Hormozy, right, where I use him as an example because he's a source. He has the great thing about his books is that everything in the books he lives before he writes the book, right? So all the examples in the book he shows you in his real life. Sounds familiar, right? Same thing we do here. We're going to show you and then we write about it. So we do cool things and then we tell the story about the cool things we did. So you can see this book has 25,000 5-star reviews. That's bananas, right? 25,000 5-star reviews on the offers book. On the leads book, 6,000 5-star reviews, right? So it's not surprising that when you go on YouTube and you type in Alex Hormozy, every video he's on has 200,000 views. Like people watch everything this dude says, right? I mean, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000. Why? Because he has the goods. Now, I remember I subscribed to this thing maybe 5 years ago, had 40,000 people watching him. And he was doing these little crappy videos. Like they were terrible. I mean, they were terrible, right? But nobody was paying attention. But he was a source of truth that when he got out of the gym business, all of a sudden, people were like, holy crap, this guy actually knows something. Now, I want to kind of break this down a bit because look at this. Where's his furniture? He got started before he was ready. He didn't wait until, well, when I get my pictures on the wall. No, he got started before he was ready. Right? He just started reporting on what he was doing and he didn't care. He just started telling his version of the truth. He was the first person online that I actually was like, oh, I respect him because he says the stuff that I say. He talked like me, right? I remember I would be talking with AJ and me and AJ would be having a conversation about something. And a week later, Alex comes out with a video about it. And I'm like, holy crap. Like we actually are thinking about this business thing the same way, right? Become a source of truth. That's the whole point of this whole day. I'm going to keep saying it because that's what separates you from everybody else.
It builds authenticity.
Oh, 100%. But they can't question it. When I tell people I sent 500,000 cold emails in 2023 before we bought SpeakerHub in our agency just in that 1 year, they can say what they want to say about it, but I can show them that that's what we did. right? When I say I work with over 1,000 speakers, doing cold outreach for them and getting them booked, they can have their own opinion about it. They can't unclient my clients. I'll leave it at that. Lawrence, what's up, man?
Yeah. So when you chimed in on the aspect of doing it before you have all the fancy equipment and all the furniture and all the background setup, I really relate to that a lot because I've noticed that just being your authentic self goes such a long way. Especially in business where people want to do business with you as a person rather than just seeing all the fancy bells and whistles at the start. I hope that made sense.
Well, I'll tell you something that I think lifestyle marketing became very popular, right? Where you show the Lambo, you show the nice house, you show all the stuff. And, that's how, if I show my Lambo, they're going to like me. If I show them that I got a Rolex, they're going to like me. If I show them this. And I'm like, I don't want none of them people. If you think becoming a speaker is about getting a Lambo, get away from me. Like, go all the way over there. If you think it's all about this lifestyle thing so you could stun on other people, yeah, you're going to hate it over here because that's not who I am. Now, do I think people should have nice stuff? Yes. Why? Because I got nice stuff. But I ain't going to be on here like, look at me, look, Ron, get up out of here. Either you like what I'm talking about, because this is the stuff that got me the nice stuff. It's these words and this knowledge that got me the nice stuff. So here's something. You all ever heard of the be, do, have theory of marketing? You ever heard of that before? So be, do, have is a marketing theory that's been out for a while. And let me share it with you. Be, do, have, right? So be, do, have, right, is defining who you want to be, aligning with their actions and behaviors, and you'll achieve the desired outcome. You'll have what they have. Find out who you want to be, do what they do, you'll have what they have. Does that make sense? But marketers have turned that around, right? What they say is in order to be Michael Jordan and in order to do the things Michael Jordan do, you need to have Michael Jordan sneakers. Do you see what I mean? You see how they've reversed it? They didn't say pick a goal, do the work, get the things. They said, buy my things. It'll empower you to get the goals. It'll empower you to do the work and you'll achieve the thing. That's the wrong way. That's the sucker's bet. If I want to be like Mike, I got to go buy these $200 sneakers. You know how many kids, I was one of them, that pestered their mama to buy Jordan sneakers. Why? Because I saw him and Spike Lee. I saw him. Is it the shoes? Money. Is it the shoes? So I'm sitting on the rim. It's got to be the shoes. It wasn't the shoes. I just couldn't dribble my left hand. Them shoes ain't on my hands. I need some George for my hands. I couldn't dribble with this left. Had nothing to do with the shoes. But that's what's being used on us a lot of times. They're telling us if we're going to be this great speaker, we got to have this thing, right? In order to do, no. It all starts up here first. Most of us don't want to do the work. We're looking for the magic bullet. We're looking for the magic thing. SpeakerHub isn't a magic bullet. It is a tool. It's a tool. It just makes it easier for you to screw in the screws. It ain't going to build a house for you. SpeakerHub ain't going to build your speaking career. If you don't send them pictures, guess what they do? They sit in your account. Right? They sit in your account until you're ready. AJ became one of our lifetime members in 2000. April or something in 2000 during the pandemic. He didn't start using the tool until October. There's nothing to be ashamed about. He's one of our most active users now. But the tool waited on him. He didn't just get book speaking gigs because he was with us since 2020. He had to get off his ass and do some work. Had to become a source of truth for himself. I mean, this is like the coolest stuff that don't nobody want to talk about because they're afraid y'all gonna stop paying us. Y'all don't pay us monthly, so we good. y'all got lifetime accounts. Y'all stuck with me forever. Right? It only gets up, it only goes up. Any questions about the be do have thing? Isn't that surprising how they use that against us instead of, hey, I gotta pick my goal and get my behind to work, and then I'll get the results. They tell us, no, you gotta have this thing in order to do this thing, and then you'll be this person. That is a sucker's bet. That's what Elon was talking about. Somebody overpromising. Next time you're about to buy something, ask the question, if they knocked on my door and they offered me the same thing without the product, just on a monetary level, if I wouldn't buy it, I probably shouldn't buy it now. If they tell me if I buy their stock trading course, I can retire in the next 6 months. So if they knocked on your door and they said, if you get their $2,000 stock trading course, you will be making $75,000 a year for life, you would buy that. No, so don't buy it from that idiot either. No, yeah, Kevin, it's really important, man. Be do have is really important. Any questions? We're 30 seconds before the end of our hour. We usually go into overtime. And
Yeah, I just have one question. So the Speakers Lab, I'm still trying to navigate the portal and like setting up the profile and being
Speaker
able,
Lab, we're not Speaker Lab.
or
Speaker Hub.
Speaker Hub. I'm sorry, my
Okay, I
bad.
want to make sure because Speaker Lab is a totally different company. We're not.
Yeah, I guess
we're
I can
not
use
the Speaker Lab.
my mistake. So within Speaker Hub, I'm still trying to like navigate how to like set up the profiles and how to
Yep.
set up
I'll walk you through it. So let's go through it. We haven't done this in a long time, guys. We usually go through the speaker flywheel. Remember, I used to go through this every day, right? So here's the difference. Speaker Hub, we don't think you should just get paid to speak. We think you should speak to get paid. We want you selling your services. Most of your money will be made, Elon, out of people in your audience, right? And the way that we do that is using something called the speaker flywheel. Every speaking gig gets booked in one or two ways. Either the host finds you or you reach out to the host. So the way that the host finds you is by you being in our directory. Here in this directory, we have 63,500 speakers, right? And they all have a profile. You can create a free one or you can pay for one that's more upgraded, right? But this profile shows, it's basically a digital one sheet that shows what you do, and it's all the information you put in. We're not responsible for any of this information. This is your page that you put your stuff in. Does that make sense? So you can update and put as much as you want, right? So that's what we call inbound leads. If you look at the bottom of the screen, we usually will show how many people are searching throughout this on the page at that particular time looking for speakers, right? What'd you just do, Kevin? Kevin just filled out something, right? So, we usually will show you how many event planners are searching on the site looking for speakers live, right? So that's inbound. The other side of the flywheel is outbound. This is where people are proactively using podcasts, media outlets, associations, and conferences. So when you heard everyone earlier, Elon, talking about, I got booked on this podcast or I got booked at this association, or I got this conference. We've learned to use smaller gigs to get larger gigs.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
that
that's
make
what I'm just primarily doing at universities is because, especially when you're writing to professors, there's definitely going to be a lot less of an issue with email bouncing because of the domain. So that's, the one thing, but it just comes from like personal experience where like I've had to deal with like, 15 years of pain within like my field, and then, get the opportunities that other people did. And so it's,
Well, so we don't have universities in our system, right? So we're not a great source for universities, right? With our lifetime members, we actually provide them with some leads that they can choose. But for our regular monthly members, we don't provide them, we don't have any direct outreaches to universities. And the reason being is that a university has 10,000 employees. Which one do you reach out to? We would end up being just a huge database of junk, because someone will say, I want to reach out to the janitors. And I'm like, dude, I'm not about to go get their email addresses, bro.
yes.
Right. So that's what we're trying to stay away from. We want to use publicly available data for things where we know people are actively looking for speakers. Right. So that's, that may be something that frustrates you. Again, we're a source of truth. So I'm going to tell you that before you sign up. You're not going to sign up and then say, well, I thought it had universities. Nope. Ron told you before you even put your credit card in, we ain't got universities, right? That's not something that we provide in SpeakerHub. But we will help you to get on more podcasts so that you can sell more of your tax services, right? We will help you to write incredible media outlets so that you can become a tax authority, not just a registered agent, but actually someone who writes on the topic that kind of breaks the myth that you need to be a CPA to do taxes or to help people with their taxes. We will give you contacts. You can give speeches at associations and at some conferences. We do all of that in a system called SpeakerHub Pro. And SpeakerHub Pro is where we use AI as the tool. AI isn't the answer, but it's the tool that we use to match people with different speaking gigs. So you can see this has Ed Marks in it. I'm going to change it and put my information in because this is actually my account. I'm a booking agent. I ain't no daggone speaker, right? And I help business owners to grow their companies by getting booked on paid speaking gigs, podcast interviews, and press coverage so that they don't have to dance on TikTok. Right? Put my information in here. That's right. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a moment, Elon. Right? So, right here, right from the beginning, when I used to run an agency, we would go and look at your website. We would look at your LinkedIn. We would look at all of your stuff, and we would write a bio for you. Now we use AI to do it. So when you sign up, you give us permission to go and to grab your information in order to put together this bio. So as you can see, it just wrote a bio for me here, which is great. And then now it's going to automatically start matching me with the podcast that I would be a great guest on. So you see, now I'm getting different podcasts that are relevant to what I talk about. Is this making sense?
Yes.
Right? So I can click here to listen to the podcast to make sure I would be a great fit. I can add it to a list and I can click pitch. Right? And it writes the email for me and I can decide to send it or I can schedule it for later. This is what we do for podcast associations, media outlets, conferences. You can track everything here in your mailbox, right? We suggest topics for you so that you can go to the meetings prepared. This is SpeakerHub. So this is how we do it. It's all based around the flywheel. How do we help you to get booked on more podcasts, more media outlets, more associations, and more conferences? Got it? Questions? No? Cool. Any other? Erica, where you been hiding? Erica all dressed up with her red on today.
This is not red. This is a coral color peach.
Okay. Well, that color don't exist in the minds of men. That's red.
It's a different color. Erica, I know exactly what color
To
that
men,
is.
that's red.
Yeah. No, you not say red, Ron. What do you mean?
Every other dude on here would have never said coral. Oh,
No,
that is
that actually,
wow. What the
like,
heck is
Ron, you
wow?
actually
Totally
just reminded me
orange.
of something.
It's totally orange. Like red, Ron, really?
Look, I'm red green colorblind. So let me be the source of truth on that. Let me just go and put that out there. You know, it looked red to me.
No, okay. No,
Look,
just kidding.
Look, Erica said it's red. I'm gonna call it red. No, just playing.
Oh my
How have you
God.
been? You been doing all right?
Doing good, doing good. Motherhood and building over here too. My daughter had her 4th set of ear tubes put in on Friday. So been busy with that, but I've also been actively building on pitching, having a new virtual assistant to onboard, and really grateful for that. Getting my inbox to not look like a database, because that's where it will be stuck with me. And also doing some more work this weekend. Actually, I'll be doing, my family and I will be doing March for Babies DC. We have been the face of March of Dimes, one of the couple of families this year for March for Babies. So if you see any advertising for March for Babies in the last year, you have likely seen me, my husband, and my daughter. Like, it's literally been everywhere. I keep getting all these text messages. And that work, for those who don't know me, that work is what I would call my redirected purpose and my life's work, where I continue to fight for moms and babies, and particularly, and especially, I should say, with the new administration and the increase of the Black maternal mortality rate. It is back to pre-COVID levels, unfortunately, and we don't see it getting any better, particularly at the expense of, unfortunately, the talks around cutting some of Medicaid expenses will directly be an impact, unfortunately, to maternal health. And so for those who, this is not anything political, this is really a humanitarian issue. And for those who are in various states, I would just encourage anyone to reach out to your representatives at the state and federal level. This is going to have a tremendous impact if it moves forward. And that's why in March, many of you who do know me know that I also lobby at the federal and state level for this work with March of Dimes as an ambassador. And this is why I do what I do, because my daughter was not expected to survive birth. And she was a non-preemie, spent 118 days in 2 different NICUs across various state lines up the 95 corridor. And I've seen the worst of the worst. I've seen where I thought my beautiful little sunshine had actually passed away in my arms. So I know the visceral impact you can have, and still 7 years later, I can't unsee what I've seen and seeing other families. So we want to talk about just the collective of humanity. This is one of those issues. And so I challenge each and every one of us. Again, you can't talk about maternal health if you aren't talking about women and reproductive health. So just sharing that for those who may not, have something that would be top of mind, that why you care. Just think about your moms, your nieces, your cousins, your nephews, all those people. This is really hitting the fan. So thank you for the couple of minutes, Ron, to share a little bit about what I've been doing.
No, that's really, really, really important. It's really important stuff. Cardis, what's new with you, man?
Oh man, nothing much. Just grinding. Was on a couple podcasts. Got asked to be a part of a book collaboration. All those different things. Um, Trying to finish up my own book. So that's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. Trying to leverage and repurpose content and stuff like that. Um, Trying to be sure that I'm consistent on more of what the call to action is. It's good to have one call to action for like every single thing that I kind of really want to focus on, so I'm not dipping in all these different buckets. I think that's the one thing that I'm really going after right now. There's a couple different conferences I'm going after, so I really want to get it settled by the end. So
Oh yeah. And I go back to the surveys because the surveys help you to find out like what the thing is that speaks to your audience that nobody else is talking about. Right? So one of the things that we found was speaker pay. Speaker pay was the big deal with speakers. Nobody felt like they were getting paid what they were worth. Right? And the only source that they were being told was just ask for more. Okay. Like that's the method. If that worked, everybody would be rich. You just
right.
don't ask for more, right? So because speaker pay is a function of who you're talking, the audience that's hiring you, right? If there's a profit motive in that audience, because if it's an educational motive instead of a profit motive, it's a different conversation about, how much you can get paid. And are you able to also offer products and services? So we learned, oh, wait a minute. If most speakers are struggling to survive because they're not making enough money, has nothing to do with whether they have a good message or not. Has nothing to do with whether they're a good speaker or not. Has nothing to do with whether they can help people. But you can't afford to get better as a speaker to help more people if you're not making money where you can help yourself. Right? So what's the one thing I know? Well, look, I've been talking my whole life, speaking for more than half of it, and I've been able to turn those speeches into product sales. So I can't give the Venice or more speech of here's how you go to $50,000 per gig. That's cool. I can bring her on to talk about that. But I can tell you how to do it in other ways. How do you build a business around this? Because that's what I've actually lived. So when you start talking with your audience, you start knowing, wait a minute, 89% of speakers have a product or service, but they don't even lead with that. Why? Oh, they're not confident in their ability to market their product or service.
Mhm.
Why? Because everybody tell them they got to post on social media every day doing goofy dances and doing all this stuff like Bart. They don't want to do this. They can't do the Bart and Bonnie dance. Do the Bart and Bonnie. There it is. There it is. Right? So we had to be a source for, hey, here's where we stand on this thing. If you want to do it a different way, go somewhere else. So Curtis, you'll find that. Once you find your people, you will know. There will be no doubt. Now, I always tell people, here's the great thing. I'm going to use Bart as an example. There are 4 branches of military, right, Bart? Or 5 if you include the Coast Guard.
Space Force.
6 with the Space Force.
Okay,
Yeah.
6 with Space Force, right?
Mhm.
They all have a different ideal customer. The Navy is looking for somebody totally different than the Marines, totally different than the Army. Now, could an Army person go to the Marines? Probably. Could a Navy person be in the Coast Guard? Probably. Could a Coast Guard person be in the National Guard? Probably. Right? But they got their own ideal customer that they're going after, and they know the selling points to that customer. And then once you get inside, they have different ranks that you can move up and different paths, the Delta Force, the Army Rangers, the Navy SEALs, right? A lot of times we're trying to just recruit soldiers. We just want anybody to fight with us. Hey, yo, you want to fight with me at the beginning? And you got those soldiers with you, But some of them ain't the right ones. You like, yeah, he cool, but I don't need him on my side. Or she good, but it don't work out with her all the time, right? So then you start to find who are your people. You know, Carter's maybe saying, look, they're all right, but I'm looking for the best. You see what I did there?
Yeah,
You
I
see
like
what I
that.
did there? You see what I did there? He looking for the best. So he's gonna weed out a bunch of folks until he finds his people. But then once he finds his folks, go all the way in. Now I'm gonna tell you, you don't need 100 people to find your people. 5. You get 5 of them, you start seeing patterns. I used to think I was by myself until I found my people. Right? And then I just started screaming, hey, here's what I do. People are like, yeah, I want to do that too. I'm like, yep. They hear it. Everybody else don't hear it, but my people hear it. Right? So Curtis, you'll get that dialed in. You know, the more repetitions you're getting, you'll find that group of folks and you'll say, man, my call to action. All of a sudden they just start hitting. No, you just found out what to say.
You know
You
what's
just left
crazy?
out all the extra stuff.
Yeah. Like I know Bonnie and AJ were about to say something, but like you know what's crazy is the most impactful conversations that I had with single mothers. Because I came out of a single mother home, like we were staying in a garage at one point, like, and then coming out of that to be like an award-winning like engineer, like people want to know the blueprint of how to do that. So it's kind of like it's been so much just like flowing of information because of all the things that my mom have like put me, people that she has put me around and all those different things. It's like I don't think that's my group, but like it's definitely a portion of my group. So.
Look, the group changes. You may have a group for that message and a group for another message, right? All you got to do is be available. And then you'll find out, what do I say with this group? When I talk about living outside of the country for the last few years, I don't talk about SpeakerHub because they don't care about that. But I can talk about living in 5 other countries, right? When I talk about startups, they don't care about me living out of the country or SpeakerHub. They want to know, why did I choose to buy companies instead of start them? So I don't talk about none of this stuff. I talk about that stuff. So and I know what the calls to actions are on that. I know what people are looking for that's trying to buy a business. I know what people are looking for that's trying to move to Colombia or become a passport bro or whatever they call themselves nowadays. I know what they're looking for, right? I know what they're looking for when they want to be speakers too, though. You see what I mean? So, but it just takes time for us to figure those things out. The problem is that we say, well, I can do that and I can do that. And at the beginning, you should take all of them so you can get some action going. And then you start saying, no, I don't need to do that. I ain't going on that one. And then you start peeling them off over time, but don't peel them off too early. Does that make sense? Like, I'll tell you one of the greatest things. As a kid, I got to play every sport. I was on bowling team. I played the drums. I played baseball. I played football. I did wrestling. I did basketball. And then when I got to high school, I had to make some decisions because you can't do all of those. The seasons overlap and all this stuff. I tried track. I almost died the first day of trials. I said, I ain't doing this no more. This ain't for me, boy. This ain't for me. I'm like, I need to try diabetes because that's the only thing that run in my family. This ain't working. This running track ain't it. You know? Right? I mean, to try alcoholism. That run in my family too.
Ron, I'm gonna come in and let you run around the block.
Yeah, I mean,
beg for mercy.
Look, you play baseball, you run what, 4 times 90? It's 90 feet to each base. So you're not running that much in baseball. You run 30 yards, you get to rest until somebody hit the ball. You just standing there. I was used to doing that. These people talking about I should run long distance. Like, what? Nah, I just went home. We had to run past my house. I just went on right in the house. Just go home because they're gonna be mad. I went here and got some water. So I may as well just go and stay in. They're gonna tell on me anyway. So, but moral of the story is that at the beginning, you're cross-training. You're trying to find out what you were good at, right? Now, we talk about Edge. She played professional basketball, and AJ played D1 football, but I actually got a bowling scholarship. It ain't glamorous, right? But I was one of the top bowlers in the state of Illinois, and I used to travel around the country bowling. I got the wounds to show it. I can't bend that finger down. See, I can do that on this hand. Anybody else, try to just bend these fingers and not bend that one. I guarantee you can't do it, right? But now I'm talking about make them touch. You see how they touch? It's hard to do it. This one is like that because I broke that finger. The bowling ball got stuck on my hand and broke my entire finger at the second knuckle, right? So I got the wounds to show that, I played the sport, you know? But moral of the story, Carter, is what I'm saying is at the beginning, you try all these different things. You take these different gigs that you may not be comfortable with. You probably never thought that single moms would resonate with you as, hey, help my kid. They may be looking for a stepdaddy. They don't know you got a wife and kid already. They don't know you already got a family, but you use it to your example to sell them courses, boy. You use that. You use that, right? No, I'm just kidding. But that's the point. We gotta sometimes explore and find out where we fit in. Bonnie and then AJ. Let's go back. The original thing I think we were talking about was finding your audience. But go ahead, Bonnie.
Yeah, right on topic. So I'm really finding that leaning into education, especially university level. Part of my book, The Anxiety Disorder, part of my book discusses that I dropped out of college after my first semester because I couldn't stay in classes. So I'm like, I really need to help high school kids get to college kids get into where they go next. So those of you who have done conferences, I'm at the emerging level here with SpeakerHub, and then I've picked a few conferences to pitch on my own. One of them is, I'm in Colorado, Northern Vermont coming up, that said, oh, our speaker proposals, that stuff's already closed out, but we're really interested in meeting you, and we'd love you to come as an exhibitor. So those of you who have done conference as an exhibitor, if the right people are in the room, do you get enough connection out of that going to a conference and doing all the hoopla to make that happen is worth it as an exhibitor rather than a speaker? Thank you.
So I'll tell you what my thoughts are. I think being an exhibitor works if you have something that can quickly return your money. Because you pay $2,000 for a booth, and if you're selling a book for $10 and the net on the book after you get it printed is $5, you got to sell a lot of books just to break even. And that's just $2,000 for the booth. That's not including your flight or whatever travel, whatever housing you got to do. Then you got to have a table and you got to have all this stuff, right? When we bought SpeakerHub, we were offered a booth at the NSA conference. And I turned it down because I didn't want to go up there looking like an idiot. We had only owned the company for a month. We didn't have no booth or any of that stuff made. I knew these people was coming with lights, cameras, and action. I said, I can't do that. And they said, well, how else could you work? I said, can I speak? Can I buy a speaking opportunity? And they said, well, we got an award show and we'll even make the background for you. The stage will already be up. Instead of you having a booth, you'll have a stage. Cool, let me get that. Because now I got 30 minutes in a captive audience. I don't want just people walking past me because you can only talk to like 4 or 5 people at a time at your table. And if you're there by yourself, you got to go with another person, right? So I'm not a really big fan of exhibiting at those types of events unless I have something super duper duper expensive to sell. So if I go there and I get 2 clients, I can make my money back, I'm going. Right? But if I got to sell 800 books to make my money back, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sit this one out because I can take that same money and invest it in YouTube, getting more known. I can invest it in the Facebook, right? I can invest it in more data. I can invest that into a virtual assistant for the next 4 months, right? So here's the one thing that nobody tells you as an entrepreneur. And I've learned this because I look at myself as more of an investor than entrepreneur. Your main job as the owner of a company is to be an asset allocator. Do y'all know what I mean when I say that? Right? Erica, go ahead. You can unmute. I'm on.
Oh, okay, I just didn't want to interrupt, but no, I was just adding that, yeah, it's important when you start to pull out your own money that you are thinking about the ROI, like the return on investment, and also the opportunity cost, and that's financial, that's time, that's all those things definitely play a role. So yeah, the exhibiting part, it definitely needs to be like, if I were going to do it, a workshop plus exhibiting, cool. But if I can't get in front of people, then like what am I really gaining from this?
100%. No, for some companies that works. Companies exhibit all the time. I think that works for those companies. But if you are a small business, you
exactly
have
that's what I mean.
Asset allocation.
Exactly.
Right? So what are our assets as a business owner? Our time, right? Our employees or our team, our tools, our money. Most of the time we think about it as money, but no. All of our assets that we have, our equipment, our coupons that we can give away, all of those are assets that we can leverage. And our job is to leverage those assets in the most effective ways, not just to say, oh, I'm going to put money towards this. Yeah, but if that's a poor allocation of that resource, if it can be used better doing something else, I should do that.
Mm-hmm.
If I know that $2,000 for a booth I may end up breaking even versus taking $2,000 and hiring an assistant for $500 a month and commit to that for the next 4 months. And I know that's going to make me more efficient in my pitching and everything else that I'm doing, right? Or using that to upgrade to a higher data set so that I can get in front of more conferences. That would be a better use of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, Bonnie?
Yeah, it does. It makes total sense. I know that the audience is full of really valuable people, but all the things that you're thinking about, um, myself being the smaller booth and all of that is probably not going to reach them with like talk to 4 or 5 people and probably not going
But
to
here's
reach
the
that
thing.
in the way I'd like to. But I have
You
a
can
question.
go and be very effective. Let me tell you what I did. Remember, I told you I ain't have no booth at NSA, right? So I just went and talked to all the booth people that were already there. So I built relationships with all of them. I became, hey, yo, you want to come and talk about SpeakerHub on our thing? You want to come on our podcast? Yo, and I built all of these relationships with the booths folks. And then all the people they captured, I ended up being in front of them anyway, because they put me on their podcast and on their platform. But you know, the other thing, while you're sitting there, when people come over, they say, oh, Bonnie, what do you do? Cool. I don't need a booth. I'm going to stand by their booth, give out my stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. So
So
just
if
learn, you can make more learning to work the room.
Yeah, I hear that.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and so the final question about this is, if I turn this down, is it appropriate and polite to respond to the, hey, we're really interested in you, come do an exhibit email with, thank you for inviting me to do that. I'm really interested in connecting with you and your people. How else can I serve this association? Like ask them to look at something else?
Yeah. Here's what I would say. I would say, oh man, I'm flattered that you would offer me a free booth at the event. Right now, this is how you find out if that's just a sales pitch. Because what they do a lot of times, they'll keep the speaking thing open to get a bunch of speakers, and they'll say, "Well, if you want to get a booth, you can still buy a booth." Right.
And to add, right, and Ryan, just to add to that, as if you were here maybe a couple months ago, so that kind of similarly happened to me. Someone was like, "Oh, you'll be good for this," so then they had already closed off the speaking part. But because my pitch was so good, they literally were like, "No, we got to have her." And then they put me on a panel and said, although I wasn't the keynote, they put me on a panel, and it made a tremendous difference. Because I brought a different perspective on the intersection of public health, AI, and innovation, and also that digital user trust and safety. And it created more opportunities for me. So that's also something that you could do, because one person was shutting me out and another person was like, nope, we're going to have her.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, so just look at the alternatives. Does that make sense? But Bonnie, you can definitely, you still may want to go, but how can you be? Here's what I know. Let me say this, and
Without
then we'll
spending
go
too
to
much money.
we'll get Bart's opinion. Here's what I know for sure. I always ask this question: if I had to do 10 times more with less, what would I do? Right? So if I had to cut the price of SpeakerHub down by 10x to 10% of what we currently charge, but I wanted to help 10 times more people, what will we do? Well, these calls will go away, right? We'll have to get rid of the calls, right? And then we would do more of something else because we need to reach a larger group of people. So ask that question. If I had to go to this, what are the things I could do to maximize if I didn't buy anything and I just went as an attendee? How would I make the most? Because most of the people, if you listen to people that are great networkers, they go to the conferences, they never go to any other sessions. They out in the hallway, they taking people to lunch. You see them in the dinner hall the whole time. They ain't even, a lot of times they ain't even
Other
register.
people
I watched
taking
this
them to
girl,
lunch. What you talk about, right?
yeah, this lady who put on this thing called Afrotech, Morgan DeBoe, she's from St. Louis. She talked about how she's amazed by how many people come to her conference and never register. They just come in the network. They just own the street where they having the conference, taking everybody to lunch.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what it's about. It's about the relationships. Right?
I
So I
know.
would make a list of those things. Does that make sense? Bart,
Yes.
what's going on?
Right. I probably have something else to add to that, but I'll
Oh, go
connect
ahead.
with
Go
somebody
ahead. You got time,
offline.
man.
I mean, this is your opportunity to be with your people in terms of who you think your audience is. And I think I know that it's possibly the first opportunity for that. So you have to weigh that as well. I'm in the room with who I think my audience is for the first time. You know, do I take advantage of this? But then you got to do all the work. You got to work the room. You're selling your thing, and then you're working everybody else, like they said. So I think that's the way to do it. I would never, I never discount. You know, I call it, you know, the Janet Jackson theory. What have you done for me lately? So if you're not doing it, how am I going to get it out of you and all these people? Like I'm always, if I'm going to be there, I'm going to get something. Got to be worth my time. It was not immediate ROI that I see. Let me figure out how I'm going to get my ROI right now with this conversation or whatever.
Exactly.
Which leads me to my other point where people, I think Carter's brought it up. He never thought that particular demographic would be his audience. I mean, and some people's niche is so niche that there may have to be a specific audience for what you do. I always look at it as everybody is until you tell me that you aren't. But then what's a byproduct of your audience? You know, so if your audience is, I think you talked about these mothers, Carters. I can't remember exactly
Single
what
moms.
they do. But you know, if it isn't that exact thing, what's a byproduct of it? You know, is it a relative? Is it, if you're talking about women, is it a sister? Is it, I don't know. My point is I look for threads of who my market is. It may be one direct thing, but then what's the offspring of that can be my audience? To me, they all are in play. So, and I'm working that till I can't work it anymore. And then you probably find out that there's a lot more that your audience than you have limited it to.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really big. So yeah, like I speak about like leadership and use like my last name as a riff off of kind of like how to build strong teams or whatever. And then from that, like it branched into me talking to the single moms about kind of like my race framework of like relationships, action, community, and environment. So like all those things I teach them about that. Like those are the things that brought me to it. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna riff off of it and kind of like figure out from there.
Yeah, most people think about leadership and they think, well, okay, I'm going to talk to the people that are already leaders, and then what level? The ones at the top, the ones at the bottom, or everything in between. I'm thinking everybody. And then the ones more importantly who don't call themselves a leader, and then I'm going to make you a leader by virtue of my talk. That's probably my biggest audience because you don't even know it yet because no one's inspired you to be one. You know, so again, same thing. I'm gonna make all y'all leader.
Yeah.
By virtue of what I say. I don't care what you do already. I'm going to invoke something from a leadership perspective that you can take and go do something and be a leader, big or small.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody is, because everybody kind of needs that to lead something. I don't care how big it is. You're going to have some tool. You have a takeaway to lead something once I finish with you.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is good. Erica, you still got your hand up? You got something else?
Yes, one thing I wanted to add to, as you all were talking about, like you never know who your audience is, and to what Bart said too. Like, yeah, I never discount anyone, because let's be clear, all of us are a multitude of things. We're not monoliths, and because of our lived experiences, like yeah, you may have a niche, right? But at the end of the day, you never know what that niche could, basically pivot to. Like, for example, I left the federal government, national security, almost 5 years ago this year. And some folks know that in February, as a result of the abrupt layoffs, firings of federal employees and contractors, I was able to build a free workshop for federal employees called Don't Panic, Pivot. And my first group was specifically focused on Black women because I believed it was my duty to make sure that we first had the start of the right tools, and versus just like, oh my gosh, most of the time as the matriarchs of our communities, we're the ones that's going to take the brunt of what's happening, right? And so from that, as a result of just building off that free workshop on President's Day, from a flyer on President's Day weekend to that Monday of doing the workshop, that then led to 1, 2, 3 more free workshops. Then that led to me building the Career Quantum Leap Accelerator program. And as a result of that, I also built Jumpstart Coaching. And what this focuses on, again, outside of what I normally do on AI and digital user trust and safety, my national security work, I am now essentially a go-to person focused on being able to provide people the quick start to getting out of the paralysis analysis mode and pivoting, not just how do I update my resume, how do I update my LinkedIn for optimization using AI? I do all of that. The bigger piece where the value is that I actually show my clients how to use their skills that they've gained inside of the government, starting their own LLCs, even if they go to another 9 to 5. The biggest thing that I teach is you never again want a company, the government, or any other organization to have that type of financial dominion over you, physical dominion, because it takes a toll on you, and that mental ability, basically your freedom. And they are just blown away because they think they're coming in to talk about their resume update, their LinkedIn update, but they walk away being not only filled, but with actionable tools to then allow them to not only work their resume for the short term, but in the long term, be able to build on something that's going to help them be able to sustain and provide for their family long term. So just wanted to share that piece.
I think a lot of times, here's something that we know. And one of my uncles told me this, and he said, sometimes you got to sell people what they want, but give them what they need, right? So this is what you're going to buy, but I'm going to give you this extra stuff with it too, right? So you get all these bonuses that you never signed up for, but I know you need it in order to, because you think you need this, but in reality, you don't need this. But so if we think of P90X, y'all remember the Billy Blanks, P90X and all this stuff, right? How many of y'all would have ever paid $300 for a cookbook? Nobody, right? But people paid $300 for P90X. And the only thing that you really needed was the meal plan. They had to put the videos on the front because they knew y'all wouldn't pay for the meal plan. But the meal plan, 80% of abs happen in the kitchen. Abs are made in the kitchen, right? I saw this joke that said, the dryer the new dryer is so strong it keeps shrinking my clothes. And the guy's wife looked at him and said, no, I think it's the refrigerator, right? And when you think about right. So, but if they told you that all you needed was this meal plan, they wouldn't have been able to sell a $300 cookbook. So they had to put all these extra videos on the front in order to get you to do the meal plan. Does that make sense? So they needed to, well, no, you got to work out. No, you just got to stop eating cookies. No, you gotta be sweating. If I do this, that's high intensity interval training. That's low intensity sustained state training. They got all this stuff. No, nigga, no, just stop eating the cookies. You know what I'm saying. Raymar, edit that out. Go ahead and do that. But edit that out. Edit out them cookies. Y'all get the point. Moral of the story is sometimes we got to sell people what they want and give them what they need. Right? So, AJ, you were going to come on and say something a second ago?
Hey, bro, I can't say nothing right now. Go ahead. Keep going.
Hey, man. No, look, my sister's name is Monica. And sometimes when I say her name at a different rate, it comes out, it sounds like something else. So one of our favorite songs is a song called Monica, Monica, right? So people think I'm saying something else, but I'm just calling my sister. Her name is Monica Story.
East St. Louis and Memphis.
So I'm just saying Monica, Monica. You know? All right. Anything else, guys? This has been good. All right. Anything else?
I was just going to say, welcome to the call that we do every day. We help speakers to get on stage. And when we stay too long after overtime, we learn how to pivot. We come up with stuff to pivot. That's the best pivot I've ever heard in my life. Monica, that starts with an M. Oh, where's Bonnie at when I need her?
There it is.
That was a serious pivot right there.
You know? But look up the song. The song's called Monica, Monica.
Don't panic,
look it up
pivot.
on YouTube.
You look.
Huh?
Don't panic, pivot, right, Mark?
Hey, man, look. I mean, that's the actual song, though.
Hey, Ron, can I tell Bonnie what I'm doing right now?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
For my own, like, I wasn't gonna tell anybody until like the results are proven, but this is what I'm in the process of doing. So, like, I know you said that the conference was charging you X amount of dollars for getting a speaking, whatever. But I took what you said last week, I think, Ron, about like looking at my surrounding area and looking at how many people are around there. So I wanted to take all the cities in my local area around, like within 250 miles, if you're in a non-populated area, and I'm spending $100 a week on ads on the podcast and all those things, clipping them down and all that, and just focusing on that target area. So like I spend $100 a week of everybody in my area seeing my face, so that like I'm become a local celebrity. So they're like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy before, or I've seen this girl before, or something like that. So like that's what I'm in the process of doing is taking all those fees or booth fees and all that stuff and focusing on that for 3 months. So 3 months, $100 a week, $1,200, you kind of become a local celebrity type of deal. So
no, I think that's super duper dope, man. I mean, we talk about it all the time. You know, you got to get out there. Jasmine, what were you gonna say? See you later. See you later. So let me close this loop on this here. Let's see.
I went there. They were like, "Yo, it's going to be very different from where you're from." I moved to Philadelphia to live with a black family of jazz musicians, and they told me before I went there, they were like, "Yo, it's going to be very different from where you're from." I said, "How so?" They said, "Well, you're going to be in the hood. We live in the hood," and I didn't know that word. I was like, "You guys live in the woods? I love nature." And they said, "No, not the woods, the hood. Like you're going to be the only white guy the entire time." I was like, "Oh, you guys live in like the friend zone?" It's a joke that went over people's heads. Yeah, they didn't get it either. But I went there and I was the only white person the entire time, and I didn't have the subtitles this time. I knew what not to say, but I couldn't understand what people were saying to me. And everybody there called me their N-word, but I thought they were misgendering me the whole time. Yeah, because my name is Zach, and I really thought everybody there called me Monica. Like, yo, what's up, Monica? If you still don't get it, you don't have any black friends. I do. I moved to Philadelphia.
All right, so that's it. That's the Monica joke. And if you don't get it, then now you got black friends. We'll introduce you to a few. But yeah, that's it. But that dude is funny. You should check him out. He got a lot of great jokes. He's from France, I think, and he tells these jokes about Monica and a bunch of other TV shows like Friends. But any other questions? AJ, you want to circle back? Monica?
Hey, bro, I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you. Monica.
Thank you,
Monica.
but I'm good.
Only in Ron, let's be clear though. I was like, he must have some Southern friends because that is the way we can talk without even actually moving our mouths. That's what made me like literally laugh out loud.
Oh man, no, I'm good, dog.
I was just getting down to super duper important. Now you hit me with another. It's gonna take me a few months for that.
Hey, you got it, Monica.
All right, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow.